Life of Pi. Is the zoo a prison or a paradise? Pi certainly starts off describing the zoo as a paradise. To me, it was paradise on earth. So what is a paradise? Literally it translates as a walled garden, and we'll come to that later. The biblical paradise was where Adam and Eve could live at one with existence before they had knowledge of good and evil. In other words, only the innocent or naive get to live in paradise. And the young Piscine is certainly innocent. Look at how he describes his relationship with the animals. I discovered in a leisurely way what it's like to have an elephant search your clothes in the friendly hope of finding a hidden nut. Or an orangutan pick through your hair for tick snacks, its wheeze of disappointment at what an empty pantry your head is. Piscine is part of the natural world. He's not separate from it. He is Adam in his pre-fall state. He says, I spent more hours than I can count, a quiet witness to the highly mannered, manifold expressions of life that grace our planet. He speaks about life with a sense of reverence. The phrase quiet witness suggests a meditative mood, and grace is the religious quality that brings about all that is good, whether it's deserved or not. So to begin with, the zoo sounds more like a paradise than a prison. There are even more connections between Piscine's Pondicherry paradise and Adam's Garden of Eden. Just as the Garden of Eden was created by Adam's father, so the Pondicherry Zoo was created by Piscine's father. Just as Adam spends half of Genesis naming the animals, Piscine spends half of chapter 4 listing what's in the zoo, starting with the flowers. Peepals, gulmahers, flames of the forest, red silk cottons, jacarandas, mangoes, jackfruits, trees, shrubs, climbing plants, and so it goes, as Kurt Vonnegut might say, before he moves on to naming the animals. He ends with the description of the zoo: the more you look, the more you see. Paradise, or at least the Pondicherry Zoo version of it, sounds too good to be true. So where exactly is the prison? Well, it begins when the older Pi reflects on the nonsense he's heard spoken about zoos, God, and religion. Certain illusions about freedom plague them both. The big idea that Martel is exploring is what is freedom, not just for animals but for humans too. Hence he links zoos, quintessentially animal, to religion, quintessential humanity. Well-meaning but misinformed people think animals in the wild are happy because they are free. These people usually have a large, handsome predator in mind. They imagine this wild animal roaming about the savannah on digestive walks after eating prey that accepted its lot piously. That's funny. Or going for calisthenic runs to stay slim after overindulging. He mocks their ignorance about animals and freedom mercilessly. The life of an animal in the wild is simple, noble, and meaningful, they imagine. Thus, by contrast, if the wild is free and happy, then zoos must be a prison. The animal is captured by wicked men and thrown into tiny jails. Its happiness is dashed. It yearns mightily for freedom and does all it can to escape. According to Pi, this is utter fiction. 1. The zoos are not jails because there was never any freedom to begin with. Animals and man live in an unforgiving social hierarchy where the supply of fear is high, the supply of food is low, and the territory must be defended. The idea of freedom, paradise without restrictions, whether it's a zoo, the wild, or religion, is baloney. You can compete for the resources, land, food, a place in the hierarchy, or you can die. That's it. Isn't that right, Charles? Yes, Brian. It's a struggle to survive. And the second reason the illusion is nonsense according to Pi is that animals are not trying to escape from the zoo. So, is the zoo a prison or a paradise? It's not a prison because none of the animals are trying to escape, but it's not the paradise of Piscine's childhood where everyone gets along with each other because they're full of love. It's the walled garden type of paradise. There's just enough rules and regulations to keep the predators and chaos out, but not so many rules that order becomes a prison. A good zoo is a place of carefully worked out coincidence. Exactly where the animals say to us, stay out, we say, stay in. Under such conditions, diplomatic peace can break out and we can relax and have a look at each other. Now, here's the second big idea Martel deals with. Paradise or walled gardens do not last, whether they're built by him or by him. The walls are always breached, and the unknown, in the form of predators and chaos, always gets in. By the end of chapter 3 in Genesis, Adam is out of Eden, and at the end of chapter 4 in Life of Pi, Pi reflects the Pondicherry Zoo doesn't exist anymore. The zoo has gone physically, and Pi has left it behind spiritually. He is no longer innocent, he is no longer the young Pacine in a Pondicherry paradise. For him, it is paradise lost. What remains for Adam, for Pi and for us is the same, because we're all part of the same story. We have to learn how to tame the predator within or without, rebuild the boundaries and make it paradise regained. Until next time, sailors, bon voyage.